So it's been a while, but I had to break my radio silence to come out and piss a bunch of people off with a hot take or two about a game that I actually scoffed at in my reaction video when I watched its trailer. That's right, I have now a whopping 4 videos on this channel, and for some reason, 2 of them are talking about Call of Duty Vanguard. In my trailer reaction video, I also made something of a, let's call it, statement of prophecy. I said I'll probably buy the game eventually anyway, because I'm a freaking idiot. Well, guess what? Several months after the game's release, I can confirm that I am, in fact, an idiot, and I bought Call of Duty Vanguard. Admittedly, I'm a big fan of the series, so I guess it was kind of inevitable, despite me avoiding the title for as long as I did, because frankly, there just didn't seem to be much to get excited about. And like many of you, I was growing weary of the series' formulaic yearly releases. I mean, if we want to talk about Call of Duty fatigue, for Christ's sake, the first game I played on Xbox 360 was Call of Duty 2. I played 3 on the Wii, which I thought was awesome at the time because I was 13. I don't know, cut me some slack. But when Call of Duty 4 came out, I, like many others, became fully immersed in the world of Call of Duty as we know it today. It was a definitive moment for the series and cemented its place as one of the GOATs of the first-person shooter genre. I highlight Call of Duty 4 as kind of a point of origin for Call of Duty fatigue, because it's pretty easy to lock that down as the point where the series began to look more like it does as we know it today. Sure, we'd already been getting yearly releases every year since 2005, but after Call of Duty 4, each release felt like a blockbuster event in its own right that was kind of derivative of or paying homage to Call of Duty 4 in one way or another. 4 is also where the series started to pivot towards a much heavier focus on competitive online multiplayer experiences, but that's not what we're going to talk about today. Today, we're going to take a fresh look at the latest Call of Duty's campaign after having taken a good few months off from the series. Before we get into exactly why I liked Vanguard's campaign, it's important that we kind of level set and go in with a reasonable expectation about what a COD campaign really is. A COD campaign, first and foremost, has rarely taken itself as seriously as some people seem to think they once did. While some games have been more upfront about addressing more serious subjects like the horrors of war, such as World at War for example, a game that does that pretty well, they've always been structured more like an action movie than as a war documentary. The emphasis is on providing the player with exciting cinematic experiences with good gunplay, memorable moments, and an interesting setting. For example, you might not remember every story beat or gunfight in the original Modern Warfare, but you sure as hell remember all Gillied Up. You definitely haven't forgotten No Russian from Modern Warfare 2, or Operation 40 from Black Ops. This campaign design has been central to the series' ethos for a while now, and Vanguard is no exception in that regard. But where I think Vanguard really starts to break the mold, however, is with its cast. We've had great characters in Call of Duty before, sure. We've had Woods, Captain Price, Soap McTavish, the list goes on. But those characters have rarely been in the driver's seat of the story the same way the protagonists of Vanguard are. They're interesting, diverse in their backgrounds and their temperaments. They're well voice acted and they have fun dialogue. It almost feels Marvel-esque to me, like an Avengers movie. Each of the characters has a fully fleshed out backstory that's presented to us through their interactions with each other and the antagonists, and through the flashbacks, which make up the bulk of the gameplay. We'll get to that later. What I really like about how they're presented is the way in which the actual characterization occurs. There's no ham-fisted exposition dump, and the characterization of the cast is given to the audience in a fairly organic manner. Let's take Arthur Kingsley for example, the leader of Task Force 1. We get that Arthur is from a pretty well-to-do background because the game shows us instead of telling us. Early in the game, he retorts to Freisinger, the antagonist of the campaign, that he's Cambridge educated. The game shows us this. It doesn't just outright tell us. The game also shows us that he can speak multiple languages, including German and Russian. The same can be said for Polina Petrova, another member of the cast. Long before we experience her first flashback mission, we can clearly see that this fight is personal for her right from the get-go in the opening mission. She's eager to kill Nazis, more so than any other member of the squad. This makes all of her scenes later all the more impactful, as the player is shown how she came to be the most fierce sniper on the Eastern Front, rather than just told that she is. It's this cast of characters and the overall quality of the cinematic cutscenes that really shines in Call of Duty Vanguard. Cold War had some great characters as well, if we'll use that as an example as the previous entry in the series. Many fan favorites star in that title, but they don't drive the action and the story the same way that Vanguard's cast does. Alright, so the story is good, but is this thing even fun to play? The answer is yes, if you like Call of Duty games. The gunplay is fun and crisp like you'd expect from a Call of Duty game. The level design is mechanically sound, and again typical of what we'd come to expect of the series. It's more or less on rails and leaves limited freedom for the player to explore different methods of approaching different engagements, but it does exist to a degree. The gameplay is also varied enough that I don't feel bored. Each character has a different mechanic based on their roles and personalities that gets incorporated into their missions. Arthur can command men to complete certain tasks, provide covering fire, etc. Wade Jackson can use his ace vision to scope out enemies through cover and from afar. Paulina can take advantage of the verticality in levels to climb to a vantage point and pick off enemies and so forth. This encourages the player to break the mold of how they normally approach an engagement or just play the game in general. If you're always playing the game the same way, that can get boring and predictable over time. Beyond just their abilities, each character's skills and personality are central to the way each mission plays. The aircraft carrier takeoff and high-intensity dogfights over the Pacific with Wade Jackson are a particularly memorable example of this. This variety means that the 6-ish hour long campaign remains engaging enough throughout its runtime that it doesn't feel like a slog to the finish by the time you get to the end game. A good Call of Duty campaign should be just that: fun, engaging throughout, and easily digestible in 1 or 2 sittings. In that regard, Vanguard excels. I do have some criticism, however, and I don't think Vanguard is a perfect game or even in the top 3 Call of Duty campaigns, despite the praise that I've heaped on it so far. My main issue with Vanguard is that far too much of its runtime is wrapped up in cutscenes, and while they are very well done, as I mentioned previously, there are moments that I watched that made me go, wow, I really wish I was playing that right now. Think of Wolfenstein: The New Colossus, for example. Many of the game's memorable cinematic moments also allow the player to interact, and not just through QuickTime events. Think of the casting call scene on Venus for the movie, for example. There's an establishing cutscene, sure, but then we're placed right back into the shoes of Blazkowicz, where we're free to complete or mess up the mission as we see fit. Vanguard would have benefited from a few more moments like that, and a few less cutscenes where the player just doesn't get to do anything at all. I also think the level design would benefit by taking some cues from Bungie, who in both the OG Halo games and in Destiny, do a fantastic job of contrasting linear level design with more open, expansive areas that give the player a lot of freedom to approach engagements in different ways. We get a little bit of this in Vanguard, but for the most part you'll be punished if you try to play an engagement or a level in a quote-unquote unintended way. Probably because the AI is garbage, but that's not particularly surprising for this franchise. The most egregious example I can think of punishing the player in this game comes from the same Wade Jackson mission that I mentioned earlier, where the game will actually throw up a kill timer if you fly too far in the wrong direction. This was particularly confusing for me on my first playthrough because I wasn't trying to be a smartass or push the level boundaries. I was actively engaged in a dogfight with an enemy when it happened. It's a lazy design mechanic, and I sincerely hope that developers stop using invisible walls and kill timers as a mechanic sooner rather than later. All in all, Call of Duty Vanguard really doesn't deserve as bad of a rap as it gets. When removed from the lens of Call of Duty fatigue, and if we take Activision's less than stellar business ethics out of the equation, Vanguard's campaign stands up pretty well on its own. It's not revolutionizing the first-person shooter genre, but it is a solid and worthy contribution to it. At the end of the day, don't let some dude with a YouTube channel form your opinions for you. If you think you might like the game, go for it. I almost made the mistake of skipping this entry entirely, and overall I'm glad I didn't. So get the game, or don't. Either way, just play whatever makes you happy and don't let other people tell you that you can't enjoy things. That's what gaming is all about at the end of the day, and personally, I liked Call of Duty Vanguard. Ooh, boy, am I glad to get that one off my chest. Alright, well, I hope to provide you with more regular content soon, so please make sure you like and subscribe if you do like this kind of content. Alternatively, if you hated my opinions so much you just want to see what stupid shit comes out of my mouth next, you should also subscribe. Either way, works for me. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time, and enjoy, and thank you for listening to my take on Call of Duty Vanguard.